Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at the app. It's called Classkick. It's this particular app right here with the C on it. And this app will allow you to create an assignment and then share it to your class so that your students can work on it. And what's really neat about it is that you can actually see the assignment in real time and how the kids are working on it. So it's a really neat tool. The first thing you need to do is create an account. And when you do finally open the app, it looks like this. If you have an account, you're going to click on the bottom where it says log in. If you don't, you'll click sign up and then you'll just follow the steps to sign up for the account. Since I already have an account, I'm going to go ahead and click log in. Real quick, this screen that you're looking at right here is for the students. So if the students were logging in, you'll get a class code after you create an assignment, which will go in that top box and then their student name, and then they'll just log into this screen. And I'll get into that a little bit more later. But for right now, I'm just going to click log in, and then you'll enter your username or your password. One of the handy things that Classkick does do, it works very well with Google. So if you have a Google account for your Google Drive or maybe for Google Classroom, you can log in through that way. I'm just going to go ahead and log in with my email though. Once you do log in, you'll come up to your assignments page, and on your assignments page you have a list of all the created assignments that you have. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to show you how to create a blank assignment. This is something that you can do very easily and quickly. So we're going to hit the plus sign in the top right, and you'll see we get a drop down that says new blank assignment, import from PDF, or browse sample assignments. The top button is going to give you just a blank canvas that you can work with. Import from PDF would be maybe if you created something from a PowerPoint presentation that you saved as a PDF and you would like to upload that file. I'll show you an example of that later. And there's also some great sample assignments too that I'll show you. But for right now, let's just go ahead and go with new blank assignment. And you'll have to create a title for that. So we'll just say example. And then after you title it, it will create the assignment for you. And what I want to do first is I want to touch that very first slide, and I'm going to let that open up. And so here we have some buttons across the top. And this is the very first page that the students will see when they log on to this assignment. And what you can do is there is a pencil tool here, which will give you some space to create things. There's an eraser tool, which actually really works well. There's a text box that you can type things into. You can change the colors of all those letters. You can even change the font size. You can move it around if you like. There is an option to record your own voice in on here. So for example, if you were doing a reading assignment and maybe you wanted to differentiate a little bit, you could use this option to have the text read to particular students, and then they would have that accommodation. You can also add in a link. Let's say you had an external link, perhaps maybe it was a YouTube video or maybe a video from your own Google Drive that you wanted to put on there. You could do that through here. Or you can even take a picture or choose from photos. Let's say you had a picture of a worksheet that maybe you just wanted to digitalize and just do it that way. You could actually take a picture of the worksheet and just use it as that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you how I would create an assignment. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my photos, and I know that I have a picture of a circle map here somewhere, so I'm going to use that to go through all of the assignment here and work on that. So here it is. So as you can see, when you go to upload the image, it gives you an idea of what it looks like, and it says drag to crop or tap done to use the whole image. I'm just going to hit done, and it uploads the image. Now it didn't upload exactly the size that I wanted to, but I can resize it quite easily by taking my two fingers and pinching it to the size that I want, which is just about there. Now I want to make sure I tap off of it, that way it locks it into place. Now for this particular assignment, I'm just going to have the kids do some adjectives about themselves. Maybe this is the first day of the school year and I want them to kind of share a few things about themselves. So I'm going to actually, just in here, I'm going to write all about me. And the kids are then going to give me some adjectives in this circle map about themselves. Now, let's just say that that's a simple assignment. I'm done with that, and I think that looks good. So what I want to do is I want to go back to here. Since I don't need slides 2 and 3, I'm going to tap that and just say delete, and I'm going to say delete, and then the same thing for this one. You might have noticed too that there was an option to duplicate the slide. If you would like to duplicate a slide, you can do that as well. So now to get this to a class roster. What I need to do is I need to assign a class roster to get the code up at the top left here. So when I click down here, you'll see that there's an option to assign a roster. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have to pick a roster that I can assign this to. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and I will pick this one right here, since I know that we're talking about some tech stuff. And you can see that a code is generated, W7QP7U. And that is the code that the students will use to log on with their information. So what I want to make sure I do is I want to make sure that I share that code with my students, so that way they're able to access that code. So what I'll do now is I will go out of here, and by the way, these two buttons right here, allow peer helpers and show students their grades. You can toggle those on and off if you like. Allow peer helpers basically allows other students to go to other classmates and help them out. So let's say, for example, that you were having a student who was having a hard time understanding what adjectives to come up with, which that shouldn't be difficult if they're writing about themselves, but they would be able to go on and they would be able to help them. But hopefully I won't need that for this particular assignment. So I'm going to now go ahead and get out of here. I'm going to sign out so I can show you what it looks like on a student end. So I'm going to just say that the class code, and if I remembered it, it was W7Q, P7, and then U. And then my student name, I'm just going to say Joe. And it'll take me directly to that question. So here's the assignment that I created. And I'm going to do a few adjectives about me. I'm going to say, let's say, I am funny. I am handsome. And I am, we'll say, techie. Now, what I can do as a student, you'll notice that in this side of the screen right there, there's that little hand. What that does is it actually lets me send a digital signal to my teacher to let my teacher know that I am done and that they can help me or they can check my work. So I'm going to send this to my teacher, which is me, and that then sends a notification to the teacher side saying this student is done. So now let me go ahead and get out of here, and let's log out and go back in as a teacher. And let's go back to that same assignment that we did. You'll notice that when you look at it, there's that number 1 next to the hand. That's because the assignment was submitted from the one that I just did. So when I scroll down, and if this was a real classroom, all these students would actually have real-time presentations going on. So like these students that you're looking at, for example, like Jesse, Joe, George, Julie, all of the work that they're doing in real time, you will see that on your iPad. Now with Joe's right here, if the hand is up, I can go right to his iPad, see his work, and then I can say, Joe, this looks great. I'm going to give you, we'll say 4 points at the top there. And what I can do is I can show that to him, and then that hand at the very top left corner goes back down to 0. So then I can go back here. I've now checked his work, and he has seen his grade on his end. So that is how you create a assignment from blank. Let me show you what you can do as far as creating some assignments from a PDF. Now, I'm not going to create one now because I already have a bunch of them already created, but what you can do is if you upload it from a PDF, you have to have a Google Drive account to upload it from. So if you don't have a Google Drive account, that is not going to help you out very much, but having that Google Drive account is highly recommended. So have one of those handy, and then you can upload your PowerPoint presentation saved as a PDF into the Google Drive, and then upload it from the Google Drive onto Classkick. And that's exactly what I've done here for this story, ice cream, for example. And so this is what this looks like. And this is just a picture of a worksheet that I've taken. And all it is a picture of that. But then you'll notice that there's a recording box right here. And this recorded box that is right here. Oops, let me change the color of that so you can see that a little bit better. The recorded box is right here is just me reading this whole text to the students that I've selected. So it's a great way to differentiate. So this particular piece of text is read to this student. And then on the next page, there is, and by the way, the students would get a paper version of this as well too for this particular assignment. They would have all of these words read to them, all these sentences are read to them, and again, the last slide, same thing. The questions are read, and then they're answering them on the paper. Now, of course, you could keep this digital. You could move these questions, these recorded over to maybe there, and that would be out of the way. And then you could have your students answer them in a digital way. That would be quite handy as well. So that's how you would create it from a PDF. It's pretty easy. You just have to have that Google Drive. That's the most important thing. The last thing I want to show you is the browse the sample assignments. There's all kinds of categories you can pick from. One of the most important ones, though, is Classkick on their website has a get started training for the students to do, which is, I think it's appropriate for all grade levels. So I'd like to show you that one. It's probably right here. Let's see. Student tutorial right here. So on the student tutorial, it actually shows them exactly what all the different menu options are and what the different icons at the top do. And it's a really great thing to do, even if you're in kindergarten or all the way up to high school. I would highly recommend doing this. So you're going to want to make sure that you have this the student tutorial, which I believe you can get off the Classkick website. The other things that we need to real quick talk about are the rosters. You have to have a roster created to share assignments with your students. Now, if you're creating a roster for the very first time, you don't need to enter student names. I'll say that one more time. You do not need to enter student names. The roster will populate on its own. So I'm going to hit this plus sign to create a new roster, and I'm just going to call this one, we'll say test. And you'll see that there's an option to add students. I can add students if I want, but I don't need to. All I need to do is just leave it right as it is, because when I do this, then the students that log on with that code, when they enter their names in, it will populate that roster automatically. So it's a really handy feature, and I would highly recommend letting the students do it. That way it saves you a whole bunch of time. Now, if for some reason you have little ones that maybe misspell their names, you can actually go in and fix it for them. But what you're going to want to do is, after you have all of your students populated and all of the class names in there, this icon toward the right here that's got the unlock button, you're going to want to lock that button. And by locking that roster, that prevents them from using a misspelled name again. So if you had someone by the name of Adam who maybe spelled their name AJAM on accident and logged in, it's going to create an extra spot on your class roster, and you don't want that to happen. So by locking it, it won't accept their name, and you'll have to go back and make the appropriate corrections. So you'll want to make sure that you do that. This is all a great tool. Hopefully that this has been helpful to you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help you guys out. Otherwise, get started on it. It's the easiest thing you can do is just dive into it. Good luck.